We may want to delete that other one though.
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
And
We're live, by the way, now. So
I shared out that link, so I don't want to make sure people aren't confused.
yeah.
Oh, so I should delete this, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Share another one.
Yep,
God darn it.
that happens.
Yo, that hot sauce has my stomach hurting.
What happened? You said what happened?
Stomach hurt.
Yeah,
It's because I haven't
because of what?
Well,
not because
only
of whiskey.
not because of whiskey.
Only
That's
because
what
I haven't
matters.
eaten anything.
I
need some
Hey,
substance.
look, hello from Cali, Jason Johnson. Or you should probably actually get to work on this. We are live with
We
episode 34.
live.
34?
34.
Is it 34?
The dirty 34.
Have I got that right?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope so.
How they got hacked 34?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think we're on 34.
We're on 34. We're going to talk about some fileless malware,
I think.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Let's see if we can
Gotta
reshare this out so that we can.
Share this out. Share with everyone. Let everyone know. Tweet it out. Let me tweet it out.
Let's-
So,
Yeah,
Let
that's what I'm
fucking
doing
know.
now. It says the chat is disabled for this live stream.
Ooh,
what? Well, but people are chatting in it, so I don't know why it says that. It's not set to disabled.
On my end.
They just banned you.
Uh-oh.
You are not commercially viable. Did you hear that bullshit?
Ooh.
That's
No, I didn't hear
YouTube
about
deleted
that.
some people's accounts. One of the live streamers, Dan Dubrick, I don't know, one of the big YouTube people said, "Hey, press this on my live chat if you want me to vote this way or that way." Some little poll he was handling with his paid users, and they would start clicking his button a bunch of times doing the vote. Bam, they got their accounts deleted. And YouTube's response when they tried to appeal, these are users, they tried to appeal it. Boom, they came back with a whole thing that says like you're not commercially viable, blah 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 blah. And you're like, what? You deleted my Google account,
Right.
and these are paid subscribers to him.
You
like
deleted
that.
my Google account, not my YouTube.
Right,
My Google account.
like
yeah, like that could be my password reset. That could be my.
right,
You just ruined my life. Thank you.
yeah. So it's kind of a big mess. That was
Yes. Because I'm not commercially viable, I can't use your free email servers? Okay. Awesome. I have to day drink to this.
day drinking time.
Day drinking time.
So how they got hacked? Episode 34. Tom Lawrence.
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash?
So that's that part's out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Formalities.
So formalities. We were doing B-sides
Woo!
yesterday. Well,
Woo.
Xavier was specifically speaking at B-sides about fileless malware.
Mm-hmm.
And it was successful.
So he hasn't had whiskey since he started a deep dive into fileless malware.
If you hadn't noticed, I took a couple of weeks away from the old whisk.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing an afternoon show. It's afternoon here in Detroit. It's 1:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Therefore, I just had coffee, so I'm not to the whiskey yet. Xavier's still celebrating mode though.
Well, yeah. You got to think like I've had a long 5-6 weeks. The same day that I got my B-sides talk accepted was the same day that I let my former employer know that I wouldn't be at the company anymore. From that day forward, offboarding for 2 weeks, passing things along, and then onboarding a new client that next week, doing some travel the week after, and then for the last 2 weeks, really just putting my head down and grinding.
My bad.
You get what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It
It's
takes
a
a lot
lot.
out of you. I hadn't been playing any video games. Usually I take the day off for Call of Duty's release and actually sit there and play the game all day. This was the first year in many, many years that I hadn't been able to do that. So I sacrificed. I made a few sacrifices. And now that is over, so I am playing video games for the rest of the year. Excited. Cheers to that.
Yep. So it was a good talk though on a fileless malware thing.
Is this the last time that we talked to these guys? It's been snowing like crazy.
That too.
Yeah, it snowed like crazy.
Like, it's like hacker hoodie weather. It's like you gotta.
It's cold here in Michigan. There's plenty of snow.
On the way.
It's
Kenny style.
Are you guys gonna laugh? This is what it looks like outside, and my neighbor's got his snow tires on his truck.
Oh yeah, the one that shows up as a semi on the Tesla.
Yeah, it shows up as a
It
semi.
shows as a semi. The radar thinks it's a semi
Because of the wheelbase.
because of how big it is.
Because of how big it is.
It's like, oh yeah, that's definitely a garbage truck.
Yeah, he's my new neighbor, and he's actually kind of cool. He does park that thing in the street a lot, though. I can't see her. Well, I could say I can't see around it, but I actually look under it when I pull out of the driveway to see if there's a car coming. I can look under the axles.
I've always wanted one of those car kits.
Oh, it's pretty
Turn
wild.
something into a monster truck.
So yeah, that's a thing.
Hey, there are people joining us. I appreciate everybody.
So we got a
coming
different
in.
audience, I
Nice
think,
truck,
here.
man. Nice
Different,
truck. Yeah, it was a
different
nice truck.
audience.
I am a man now. Michael Kerr says, yes, I am. I have officially done something I did not expect to do for this year,
Yep.
but it was done, and I'm finished. I'm happy. Like, I'm ecstatic that it's over. I was excited to get it.
But it's also
It's
Yeah.
relieving when it's finished because it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stuff.
there is a lot to it. Back into some hacking news. Should we jump into some of that?
news. Go for it. Yeah,
And
let's
towards
do
the
it.
end, we'll cover the fileless malware. Beat down a little bit of that again. So I, being a big Ubiquiti fan, this is a definitely interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Now, good and bad here. Good. Ubiquiti paid out $16,000 for a high-rated CV, 9.6 on the severity here, and they paid out some money for it. Bad. The fact that it was originally signed a much lower CVE, and so there's this back and forth discussion about it. But I still like the fact that they did it, and I like the fact that Ubiquiti's participating here on HackerOne and going through this. What they have here, though, which is kind of interesting, is, and one, I don't know, I think my understanding of this after reading through it is it explicitly and only affects Windows if you're running it on Windows, which I've repeatedly throughout my YouTube. Don't run Ubiquiti on Windows. But there's an escalation because the Evo streams, which is not the part that Ubiquiti wrote. Evo Streams is a separate component brought in. Brought into here, and basically there's a process by which it will listen, and it listens a little bit too good. It'll run executables and a few other things. But it only listens to localhost, so you'd have to do some cross scripting. You have to exactly what they said they had to do. SSRF to get this to work.
Server-side request forgery.
Server-side request forgery. That was the key to doing it. It's still interesting. It took some hard
So
work.
SSRF has had a hell of a year. If anybody out there has been paying attention, not only did it take down Apple, it took down Amazon and a lot of Amazon customers. And now you got this.
Yeah.
SSRF is a bug, an entire class of bug that I've suggested months ago, and I will continue to suggest. Go find those. Those rule the world.
Yeah.
Seriously, SSRF bugs are intriguing, fascinating, and extremely potent and dangerous.
and well overlooked by a lot of companies.
Yes.
It's a great way to inject things in there because and this is actually how a whole slew, and there's no patches for it all for these. A lot of your consumer routers get patched because they leave them at the default addresses and things like that, and then they go, okay, do this, and they'll execute commands with a little bit of forgery like that, and it's easy enough to get people to do that. And it kind of relates to your fileless malware because you can just if someone has some PowerShell access to your computer, same thing. In the same terms of the fileless malware, which we'll talk about later, it can execute that code against the IP address and then start forging things and cause some executions and
bad stuff.
Yeah, bad stuff will happen. But it's also low hanging fruit, like Xavier said. It's not a bad place to start if you're into pen testing.
Certainly.
I like this.
And companies are falling hard and paying big.
Oh, excuse me. We were eating tater tots.
You need some whiskey.
I need some.
You need some whiskey.
I should have whiskey, shouldn't I? There we go. This glass looks
There
clean.
you go.
Hey.
If not, it's going to be clean with whiskey. That'll clear my throat. There we go.
There you
This
go.
this stuff goes down. It's only noon, but it's all right, or 2.
It's 2. It's noon somewhere, and it's also 5 somewhere. Some of our viewers, it's 5 o'clock where they are.
There you go. It's 5 o'clock
It's
somewhere.
5 o'clock in Greece for sure.
Yeah. I love the Register for their headlines, but denial of service kingpin hit with 13 months, denial of freedom.
That's it. That's it. He literally got 1 month over the minimum felony
Right.
time. Wow, that goes to show you that they're not really being hard on. They got bandwidth to spare.
Yeah, well, $550,000 fine.
You're right. I was
So-
That's
just
cheap.
about to
That's
read
dirt
that part.
cheap. That's dirt cheap. You
Yeah.
got if you've been following this story, this kid made a killing running a booter. He's probably one of the biggest booters in the world. He made a killing. He just got off. This is the equivalent of when I always tell people I'll maximum do 7. This is the equivalent of the maximum 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just got off. I'm sorry. I know he
For
got
the
money.
550, he still got off in the 13 months. Okay.
Because
He about to get time served on 6 of them 13.
Oh, that's true.
And he
Yeah.
about to get out early because he 18. I think he a teen or he young.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, too, one of the other when we covered when he first got busted, he's the amount of money they can't quite
Account for
decipher.
He did over 3 million. He did 3.8 million DDoS attacks, and DDoS attacks like go for like $30-$40 a pop,
Wow.
30 to 50 a pop.
Right.
He made bank.
So he's been making money at it, but they can't really track the money.
Yeah, because
that
it
he
was
has
like
for
his
it.
dad was involved or some crazy
Right.
shit like
It was-
that.
it's-
and like
it's a
his dad
crazy
was like,
case.
"No way that my son's making all this money. I would have known if he was making this money."
He's just hiding it all in bitcoins. And
I'm just mad when I was doing booting
Shuffle
that
the
I
deck.
wasn't getting paid this much.
You're like, wait a minute. You're like, wait a minute. You can get paid for this?
Exactly.
I did it for the lulls.
Exactly.
7 p.m. in the UK, it's beer o'clock.
Beer clock.
Hey, Billy.
Yep.
I'm jealous now.
So, but it's still a bad idea. Don't be a shitty person and do that.
Yeah, don't be a shitty person and boot. Booting
It's-
is lame. Go do something better with your time, like
Yes.
Booting is
researching.
lame, but it's pretty fun.
Go research something.
I mean, somebody talking mess.
Only
mess
time
online.
only time I feel like booting is necessary is when you get called the N word from a little kid while playing a video game. That's when you're like, okay, enough games for you today, Billy. Bloop.
I don't even think that's a bootable offense. That's
What?
That's normal. That's,
Yeah,
that's
look,
just-
it's
that's
the
normal
normacy.
video game play. Like,
The normacy. So you want to boot the guy that's actually beating you?
yeah. Not
So-
little Billy. He's okay.
Billy could
This
say.
seems like fun. And we're going to do a live demo because that's the way we roll.
Live demos.
Live demos.
Hack the planet with camera GUI, the ultimate Internet of Things industrial control system reconnaissance. There's so much SCADA stuff out there. And like Xavier said, don't be a DDoS or just go hack the planet. It's way more fun.
do real
And, this is all on GitHub, and I'll leave links to all these write-ups and all this other fun stuff. And jump to the live demo. Let's look in Canada because that's not our country. What should we look
That's our
for?
bro.
here?
That's
Go-
no
you should do
territory.
You should do Iran.
Should do it
I
right?
think that we have extradition to Canada.
We have extradition in Canada. We might. And we might just
We
go
definitely
visit
do.
there.
Yeah, let's do Iran.
Yeah, let's do Iran. I don't think that they'll send us to Iran. Nope. No matter how bad they want to come and grab us, like I will tell you about all my hacking escapades
So
in Iran.
it finds devices and SCADA devices and control devices and everything else. It's just really
So it just helps you get to the nitty gritty, so that you can like get a list of IPs to run your tools against.
yep.
Okay.
The live demo's not working.
Oh yeah. No self actually works in power. So let's not make his job any kind of harder. You know.
He said he'll DDoS all three of us.
It's like, look, man. Oh, the demo's even not loading.
Look, he's
Anyways, they have some
DDoS the
samples here.
demo. He's like,
Yeah.
no.
When the demo does work, this is what it looks like. Here's a nice map of industrial control systems over where someone might live in Canada and might be handling the power. So you got the DDoS this site too on GitHub. Good luck.
Sheesh.
This is really kind of cool and really kind of scary. The fact that there's a lot of things exposed.
Good old Canada.
Yeah. I don't know why they pick on Canada so much here.
Yeah.
I mean, their bacon's not that great, but I still like the guys.
The bacon's not that great.
Come on, Canadian bacon? That's a stretch, dude. That's not bacon. It's not real bacon.
It's just ham.
It's just ham.
It's Thanksgiving ham. But we all know that Thanksgiving is around the corner. And the ham, I'm sorry to all you Americans, the ham is better than the turkey. Every single year, the ham is
is.
gone before the turkey is gone.
It is.
You get that good sweet glaze on there with all them
know.
juices, and you make that little bread
Candy
sandwich.
crust.
Ooh, yeah.
Little candy
Oh, yeah.
baked on there, honey baked. All right. Enough of that.
Enough of that.
So this whole thing is open source, and this is a whole search tool for industrial things. And I thought this was a good write up because there's it's one of those things. There's so much low hanging fruit. So this is actually these quotes come from Danny Hill's TED Talk and refers to the whole World Wide Web. It also refers to research I've been doing. It illustrates how things of the internet change rapidly. The whole web is reconfigured constantly, from small home networks to large manufacturing facilities or industrial factories, and no one is really responsible for the state of the internet in general right now. So by raising awareness, and this is one of those things, like this is where I have, so to speak, at odds with YouTube because am I revealing a hacking tool that you can now make it more accessible for people to hack? Or
No.
am I exposing people And hopefully the people who work in security that can now take that to their boss and go, look, this is very exposed. These are ways we can help scan and watch for these stuff.
Dear YouTube, Tom's views do not reflect the views of
Of Xavier.
literally his views reflect the views of this channel.
Yeah, and Xavier D. Johnson or Mo.
I think it could go either way. You know, when you put something out there,
Yeah,
it can be used either way, for good or for bad.
I'm always for more information.
Yes.
And it provides people a way. You can't just put it on the internet and say, well, because you revealed it, and this is the old school 80s mentality Microsoft had, you can't reveal any of our hacks because that would be detrimental to the product.
I mean, but Microsoft also thought that you'd never need more than 600 kilobytes of RAM. So.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, like minds are changing. We have tools like HackerOne. We have responsible disclosure that can be done with companies, and maybe
this tool is going to be leveraged to make bug bounties rain.
Right.
This is for bug bounty. This is definitely for bug hunters.
Yeah. And I met people at B-Sides the other day. They started a new company that they're focused on this particular market.
ICS.
Yeah, and what they do is you pay them as a service, and they monitor all of your attack surface externally and keep an eye on it for things that pop up, things that change in your network by accident. So you have a constant, external monitor. I've brought it up before. For you as an individual, you can use Shodan. The base level of Shodan lets you monitor up to 5 IP addresses. For a home user, that's probably enough, and you can keep an eye on a couple things.
You only get one IP for your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if you run some AWS server, and now you can pop a couple of things that you babysit on there.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's like what, $10 a month or something like that to monitor a few IP addresses, or you could just go in there and manually scan for yourself once in a while. I'm on a lifetime plan.
There you go.
Yeah.
I bought Lifetime.
I bought that was it a Black Friday special?
I bought it years ago
It
when
was
that
a
was
while
the
ago.
norm.
Yeah.
I bought it when I didn't realize that we
It
have
went
been
up
giving
a
out.
lot.
Yeah, we have been giving out this advice to people. Oh, just go to Showdown. Just buy Showdown. And I think Mo was the one that came and was like,
But shit's
I tried to go
now.
buy Showdown. It's just like $50 a month. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, they definitely have.
I'm like, no, it's
switched up the
$50
price.
period. He's like, no.
They actually, let's look, what's the Showdown pricing? Yeah, $59 a month now.
A month. I think I paid $50 for a lifetime.
But I will admit this, though, from a business standpoint, this is a really good deal at $59 a month because million results, 5,000 IP addresses.
It's a very
The
good
API
tool.
is amazing.
It's a very good tool.
I mean, we're using it to monitor some of our clients that we know have things open and, in case something changes because there's some things that might happen. So it's definitely, Showdown's great. So I definitely.
But I think they still have like little midnight deals and stuff. You just have to catch them.
Yeah. Yeah, keep an eye on that, stuff like that. It's worth it. But either way, I still think this is a pretty cool tool, pretty cool write-up about all the features inside of it. And it's, once again, this also gets you in the mindset to show people at your work all this stuff. Now, this is a whole different mindset. I want to know who has the time to do this sometimes. Like, this is the great security researcher.
Well, it makes sense because remember, guys, we should be able to listen to rooms and potentially the ons and offs of servers to be able to get encryption keys and passwords, etc., using lasers and glass, right?
Right.
So it makes sense that if you can listen to a room, that you can speak to a room. But I didn't think that anybody would actually do it.
Yeah. So this is kind of interesting. So there's a couple different things. So light is both photons and it's waves.
Right.
And the way it works when they, put it against glass per se, you've seen
It's a
some of these,
conductor.
and it's they can.
A conduit.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
conduit.
Well, what they're doing is when they hit it, they measure the vibration. Anything that you talk at vibrates to some level.
Yep.
That vibration's so slight, but lasers are also so focused they can detect the changes in wavelengths. So something beams a laser, something watches the reverberations in lasers and converts them back to sound. So that's the principle by that works. This is a different principle. So the MEMS microphones, the microphones that they use in these, it turns out are kind of interesting. They are more sensitive than people think. That's how you can call out to your home listening devices that you've installed around your house from the other room, and they answer you because they built in really high level sensitivity. Someone decided, he goes, you know what, I wonder if we reverse that. Instead of picking up the laser modulation off of something that's reflecting it, what if we modulated the laser in certain amplitudes? Will it actually pick up as a sound? So there's a whole research paper on this and a whole demonstration. It's actually kind of fascinating. So now they show that from distance, and they have all the proof of concept videos here, and of course all the write-up. By the way, U of M, Computer Science and Engineering, local place here. Yeah, they've taken the time to put this together and point out that they can do this, that they can actually actuate the sound, and these microphones are sensitive to that. Now, where this opens up to attack. The attack vector would be, I don't need an authentication to order something on Amazon if you have it all tied to your account or your Google account, or you can say, Nest, unlock my doors.
Yes.
And so someone points a laser beam and targets your thing, and now they can't, instead of trying to yell through the window, which would seem really obvious, especially if you're home, now they can just go unlock your doors and ask your Nest to turn up the heat, turn down the heat, unlock the doors, or whatever things you have connected, turn your lights on and off, and just generally have a great time at your expense, and you wouldn't understand how they're doing it because it's a laser beam and you can't hear it. Matter of fact, you wouldn't hear what they ask. I would
You get the response.
I would just see the response, because I will tell you, I would have a great time with just that aspect of it alone.
I just want to thank the team for doing this. This is actually interesting. I'm actually going to try this.
Yeah.
Shout out to Takashi. You know what I'm saying? He already resurfaced.
Yeah, I'm going to try this.
It's really funny. I mean, I just think the funny responses. So you think of the funniest question you could ask. They won't hear the question, but what the response was. That way, when their Google or Amazon box just starts talking to them and says, "He is this tall. Who's this tall? Like who's? Who? I didn't ask you any question."
Or it should just start getting mailed to your house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't order this, but how did it,
Yeah, well, there's also, I don't know if Google supports it. I don't really play with these devices much, but Amazon Echo has a parrot mode where you can just say to repeat back what I say, and they'll repeat it back in its voice. Because a lot of people were making claims and that they had hacked the Amazon, but then they were kind of debunked them. They said, you guys are just using the parrot mode to make it say things. You're like, oh, we found hidden secrets. No, you didn't. You cut up the video because they'll show them saying something, then they cut to the Amazon, but it's actually not one cut.
Right.
So there's a couple people did that for political commentary that I thought was funny. They had Amazon making political comments, and they were trying to say they were.
So
the
how do you feel about
comments
Donald
that.
Trump?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a cool concept. I think it's a lot of fun, and they have all the details of how they did it, how they did the mirror driver. I mean, like every little piece of this is well documented. How they mounted the laser with a telescope lens. I mean, this is.
I mean, I'm definitely going to play with this. And for all you people out there with Alexas in your house.
Yeah, and here's all the list of the ones here. They have the whole list of them. So Google Home, Go Home Mini, Google Nest Cam, Echo Plus, Echo Dot. So iPhone, yeah. That listens too. And Samsung Galaxy S9, and my phone can do it too. Neat. You can send a laser at my phone. And it.
I definitely want to see how the Apple...
That's why I don't have Hey Siri turned on.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah.
At all.
There's no need for Hey Siri.
Yeah, this is...
I get nervous when other people...
Such
have
a good
it turned
write-up.
on.
So this is so much fun in right there. That's a lot.
That's nuts.
I know they had a lot of fun with this project.
I think she just want to be a whole cyber researcher thing. So we talked about this a while ago because of all the 0 days. This goes back to like the first 10 episodes or something. We talked a lot about Confluence, and it's just a matter of time.
Not it. I've been busy. I know I got the splits, but I didn't use them. Mm-hmm. Don't got time.
And we talked about what an absolute...
And I told you that it was not patched. Even when you applied the patch, it didn't work. And yeah, it makes sense that all of a sudden the NSA is like, yeah, by the way,
all these Confluences are a giant, shit show. And there's
and they run on powerful hardware.
They run
on things that have a lot of memory because it runs in Java. They run with something with a lot of I/O capabilities, and you could do stuff. This is a good beachhead to have. Yeah. Not to mention, it's full of data.
It's full of data.
It's full of personal, like company-specific credentials, etc.
Oh yeah, everything that they've dumped into Confluence and probably put it behind some type of password.
Which is everything.
Everything.
And then, like, oh my God, yeah, I don't even want to think about it. Because I know how these corporate environments end up being set up, and the Confluence is likely connected to the Jira, which is likely connected to the Bitbucket, which is like, a Latticent. So they make all of the stuff, so it's all connected. Now you're passing keys around. You're leveraging a compromise on Confluence to go and get the secrets out of the database password out of source code because they never thought.
Exactly. And how many times have you seen someone, because they couldn't get the permissions right, they just start running all this as root?
Oh, all of it is already running as root. No, I'm assuming that it's running as root.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's not supposed to, but my understanding, my friend who works for a company, their company's job is just updating this. Like, people contract his company just to go around updating Confluence, and he said it's a disaster. Like, it's a lot of work. It takes a team to do it.
It's almost impossible to update Latticent products.
Yeah, they have a team that just works on this. I mean, I didn't realize how hard it was. I don't use Confluence, but anyone I talk to just tells me exactly what Xavier did. It's a total shit show to update. No one wants to update it because it's so difficult. And Jira.
All that shit's bad.
How is that? How are they such a big company? Like, there's just got to be a competing product. This is why we use Wiki.
Yeah, what is the competing product? That's a good question.
I mean,
Jira works really, really good.
Yeah.
I think like all of this comes out of people wanting to use Jira.
I think it's the
And
fact that
Bitbucket was bought, and I think Bamboo is used as well, and HipChat and all that shit. But I think Bitbucket and Jira are the two big ones.
and I think that's probably part of it too. It's just one of those products that the front end and everything works so good for the end user. They just torture everyone on the back end trying to support it.
Oh yeah, support is terrible for this shit.
So that's probably. I don't care if I answer my own question.
It makes it harder to update, which means that the NSA is going to have to send out a briefing and say, hey, we're seeing an uptick in this because attackers are taking advantage of it because it's so hard to update.
More ransomware.
Oh, ransomware.
Good gang crab.
Now, Xavier made this comment yesterday that Microsoft Defender is getting much better.
Much better.
And this is next level stuff because Microsoft's been really pushing hard for a lot of their new tools. So legacy infrastructure, bolted on solutions, application sprawl, multi-cloud environments, company data stored across devices and apps. Does that sound like anyone working in IT right now?
Everyone.
IT and security resource complaints. The resources to fix any of this, first forementioned shit. But the Microsoft Threat Protection brings a new level of control to security to modern workplace by analyzing signals across identities, endpoints, data, cloud. Yep. And I actually started looking a little bit at this, and specifically, we're going to jump over here to Azure Sentinel. And I have not really dove into this, but Azure Sentinel, I've talked to a couple security people, and even the guys at Huntress said it's good. Like, it's a really cool SIM tool, and it's not like other ones. It's basically a feed tool that you can feed everything into, but Microsoft's going a step further and basically building all this glue so you can have one central dashboard, not for stuff in the cloud, but for stuff in the cloud and all your on-prem equipment. So Azure Sentinel is kind of key to this because it does log ingestion from not just Windows boxes, but you can feed it. Now, there's actually someone has a write-up, and I haven't tested this, and it's kind of a beta feature, but people were using log ingestion from pfSense, dumping into Azure Sentinel. When you combine that, it was just a really good write-up in a discussion forum. You take Azure Sentinel, combine it with your logs from your firewall, combine it with the logs from your server. Now you have a one-stop shop for your correlation data, and they have all their threat dashboards. So they can go, wait a minute, you got a fishy IP, and if your firewall's seen it. But here's the servers behind the firewall that we ingested logs from. Here's the server inside your firewall. So now you've got this very fast way you can track something down. And with the ATP system, it looks like, and I haven't tested this, but my understanding from reading some of this is you're going to be able to then lock it down. So you have this full stack tool that is full security stack all the way through where I can get it. I can quickly identify when hackers were in there and do something about it. So creating some actionable intelligence. And it's all been at the Ignite conference. These are all some of the big offerings. This has to have some of the big security companies out there that sell competing products scared.
Certainly.
Because, this requires that you're using Microsoft Windows Defender. This requires that you're using the Microsoft Stack. But the reality is it's already integrated. And one of the challenges that these security companies running antivirus software have had lately is they're having to basically hack around in Microsoft to try to get that Ring 0 access to inject themselves in between. And that's why there's been Windows updates that break based on the antivirus you're running versus Microsoft's Defender baked right in. Matter of fact, for consumers, I've told people, just use the Microsoft Defender. It works damn good. I'm almost questioning at some point, do we keep using, like we're moving to Sentinel-1 with our stack, but at some point, do we just use Microsoft Defender and tie it in because, well, it just works, and tie it in with the Azure Sentinel? Sorry, SolarWinds, but this may be a kind of attractive attractive stack for security. It's definitely, Microsoft's getting heavy in the security game because, well, if you're not secure, you're not spending money on their products. Okay. So they have their own reasons for doing it, you know what I mean? They generally left this to the third-party market, but honestly, the third-party market, I don't know that it's really the fault of the third-party markets, but they made it harder. Microsoft hasn't given them good API hooks to get the antivirus at the level it needs, and Microsoft's like, well, do we surrender access and give them API hooks, or do we just write it ourselves? And so, I don't know, it's an interesting state of security there, though. Speaking of knowing you're hacked, this is, I figured that was a good lead-in for this. Breach affecting 1 million was caught only after a hacker maxed out the storage. So when the storage ran out, they had to figure out why.
When being a sysadmin is like a part of your job, bro.
Yeah.
You can't own systems. This is what I be telling people. You should be a sysadmin first. You probably would have got away with this.
Yeah.
Because you would have been able to, you would have set up the right thresholds, get alarms, all that. Like, you would have got an email, like, oh, shit, it's going over 75%. Let me go and, I got to go do a thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this
I
company
need to call Zango. Damn.
So I'll leave link to the Ars Technica article, but they're talking about this happened actually a while ago, and it's just taking a long time for them to get sued and the whole case and all that. So
Was
the
getting
FTC
them
said
CVVs,
in a
wasn't he?
statement.
Man.
Man, he had a disc full. He filled the disc up with CBD.
That's why I had to actually like read like how did
He
you
had it
max
all.
out the targets?
Oh, he had it all.
He was in there for a while.
He
Yeah,
had
I
it
see.
all.
He was in there for 21 months.
From
5 years.
Yeah, from 2014
from
through
2014 to 16?
right,
Yeah,
because
so
of
24 months.
2016 when they discovered them. And this is one of those things. It takes a long time because of lawsuits before it comes to public disclosure. So when all this happened and all this went down in 2016, there wasn't a public disclosure of it. Now there is because there's a lawsuit, so we get to read court documents, which is exciting. From at least 2014 to March 2016, respondents engaged in a number of unreasonable data security practices, among other things, failed to have a systematic processing for inventorying and delegating customers' personal data stored in InfoTrack's network that was no longer necessary, failed to adequately assess cybersecurity risk posed to consumers' personal information stored on their network by performing adequate code review of their software, failed to detect malicious file uploads by implementing protections such as input validation. Input validation, that gets a lot of people, and that takes time. Just get the product out there. We'll validate that input stuff later, after the hacker has his way with us. Failed to adequately segment InfoTrack's network. One big flat network, that's the most convenient way to do it. I mean, Susie in printing should be able to print anywhere in the whole company.
He got busted trying to zip up their whole database. He was trying to download the whole thing in one swoop.
Yeah.
And it didn't have enough space to gather it all up.
Well, you think a hacker would realize, look, their InfoSec is really bad, but also their sysadmin and DevOps is pretty bad too. They ain't got enough space on the hard drive for me to exfiltrate data.
That's one of the first things I check. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, is there enough space to do this? There is just a disaster. Just as like they lost everything. It's such a mess. And it's just interesting. I mean, this is a. I like the fact that there's a legal proceedings against the company.
Right, it looks like Equifax. It's worse than Equifax.
Yeah, I just had a client we met with, and potential client we're evaluating, and wow, I mean, they set like a new record for CVEs found externally by one client. I mean, they it's unfortunate, but they changed over, new sysadmin. Sysadmin's gone that they had, so they bring someone else in. They're courting all of us, as I like to call it. Seeing who can come out, seeing who can fix stuff. And their stuff hasn't been updated since 2013. They're 5 years out of date on some of these patches. Do you guys ever remember seeing squirrel mail and stuff like that? Oh yeah, that's all running. Yeah. They're running SemMail, not even the latest version. Which, by the way, I think the latest version was from 2013. That's like a discontinued project or something. It's all really, really old stuff. So we were just digging up all the mess on there, and it's just crazy. And they're like, "Oh, we had about 6 to 9 months before we plan to remediate any of this." Was what their reply to me was.
Just give me the first 4 octets of the IP address, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So this
The
is a
whole address.
keep you alive feel good story, and I like to. Too many times we say hackers did this or hackers did that, but hackers is a term we use for people who are curious and poke at things. And I'm possibly alive because it exists. Why sleep apnea patients rely on a CPAP machine from a hacker. And this is one of those challenges. An Australian hacker has spent thousands of hours hacking DRM that medical devices and manufacturers put on CPAP machines to create a free tool that lets patients modify their treatments. And there's a whole slew of people, my friend included, who I co-host a Sunday Morning Language Review. He's got the insulin pump, and there's been a big move to get these more open source because there's people who are like, I can't get the doctors in time, I can't get to this in time. They've DRM'd and closed sourced this. I need a way to adjust things to my liking, and this is an important thing, is being able to do this. So there's a whole open source application to help people with their sleep apnea, all written by hackers, and it's hackers who poke at it. So you're quasi running the edge of the law by cracking DRM, but you're saving lives. So I thought this was interesting. This is actually a little bit older an article, but it was kind of a good feel-good article, and I thought it was kind of cool. So something
kind of on the fence. Coming from the medical field, I like biohacking, but you have to be careful.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to just.
It's
be
not something
this
you
on
take
your
lightly,
own
messing around with
without the consulting a actual doctor.
Yeah, so something to chew on there. Something to think about. I just thought, those is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know people can be upset with how long some of the processes take in the medical industry, but
there's also some rigorous testing that should be done.
Yeah,
There's things like
exactly.
that. Yeah, it's not
Exactly.
something we should take lightly.
So just to start hacking on your breathing machine.
No, but that's why
don't know.
I left the whole link to the story.
Yeah. We did have another story that our brother No Self.
Yep. Is it this one?
Yes.
All right.
It's so relevant because people were waiting on this all week for some odd reason.
Yeah. I'm not a Disney fan.
I don't know why people were so hyped for Disney Plus. Like, you
Oh.
just want to see those propaganda films all over again.
Yeah, that's. I'm not a Disney fan ever. And now I have to qualify that because they bought Marvel, and I like a couple Marvel movies, and now they doing it. So I guess okay.
Yes, you do like Disney.
I guess I like Marvel.
I like ESPN, and now I like Disney. So hey, it happens that way.
So one of my favorite comments on Disney in general
And Star Wars.
and Star Wars, they own that. They goddamn bought everything. They bought Nat Geo too. I didn't even realize that. That's on there too. I know.
It's not owned by Discovery.
Not. I guess my understanding is they own it now. So the Foot Creek side story here. If you look up Dead Mouse and Disney, Dead Mouse got sued by Disney.
yeah.
And
For the
he
ears.
talks.
Oh, yeah, for-
They drill him about it in a podcast, and you can find that clip, and it's great because they're like, "So what happened with you and Disney?" And he smiles real big at the camera. He's like, "It was a amicable agreement." They're like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "It was amicable," and that's all I can
Yeah,
say.
that's all he can say.
And he goes, but I will add this. He goes, Disney is a company that's built on lawyers. That is then propped up on another layer of lawyers, and then a few more layers of that of lawyers. That the whole mouse stands on stacks of lawyers.
Yes.
And he goes, I've heard that Disney sued Disney and won. He goes, that's all you need to know about Disney. He goes, and all I can say is I have an amicable agreement that I never want to go back and address again with Disney.
Yeah.
And I can still wear the mouse head. That's what he said. So I'm not a fan of the company. They're just super litigious
I
and
think they
very
own
messy.
that silhouette, just that whole
Everything
mouse
about it.
head.
Disney
Can't
is.
even have a mouse head. Huh?
They
even have a
change
mouse head.
copyright law. That's all you need to know. They call
literally.
it the Mickey Mouse Act.
Yeah,
It's the
literally.
copyright laws. So, hackers didn't waste any time and have started hijacking Disney Plus user accounts hours after the service launched. Well, they didn't get anywhere because hours after the service launched,
It was already
It was already
broken.
broken. It wasn't broken by hackers. I don't think Disney expected just how many people buy into the Disney brand.
But did Disney
not?
not expect hackers to start hacking?
No. And then users, they use this thing. Guess what? I already know their password to my wife's. I could guess what my wife's Disney Plus account password is.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same password it is for her Netflix account and everything else. Please don't hack my wife, but I try.
Her password is Mouse Lover 2019.
1990.
1990.
Last time she changed the password.
Ah.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these were from just spray it.
Yeah, password spraying and everything else. So
Wow.
Yep.
How much are these for sale for?
nothing.
$5.
For all of them.
Is that for all of them or just one?
That's for all of them.
Oh, nope. It's per account. They getting money.
It's not worth it. Why would I pay you $5 when I could pay Disney $7
Exactly.
in my own account?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it just says a premium account, either $3.50 or $5.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Do we want to talk a little about fileless mail there?
I don't know.
Or are we gonna cut it short so it's time
I
to play
think-
some Call of Duty?
I think it would be smart just to play Call of Duty.
I think we do need a whole video on the fileless mail.
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
that doesn't include whiskey or any of the other
Like a
topics.
good deep dive
It,
into
it.
it fatigues. You know, it's already 2:30.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that.
Yeah, because we want to do it yesterday. We were out late at the B-Sides after party. Had a
Yeah.
good time, met a lot of good people. Glad we went. Sorry that we didn't make it Friday. We at least wanted to come out you on Saturday here for a little while.
We had to do security things.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
We have to stay up on our game.
Oh, no one mentioned Jerk Pass yet.
Oh boy.
So
So it dies.
I seen an ad. There's something called Jerk Mate.
Wow.
It's some type of porn ad or something. I was laughing.
Oh,
I
I have
it.
seen that.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
Yes, we will eventually have the B-side talk, and I'm willing to sit down with Xavier.
Yeah, we'll
and,
do. We'll do it sometime. Maybe we'll do it. We'll make a video, pre-record a video.
Yeah, pre-recorded. That way we can edit it and walk through live demos.
Yeah, because I want to do it. I just don't want to do it at the end of this. Like I'm tired.
Well, you know what might
did
be
they
fun-
record your actual talk from yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what someone was asking.
Yeah, we'll post that recording, but what might be kind of fun to do is I'll stand up a box here and have Outlook on it, have Microsoft Office on it, and have Xavier send me something that we open on it. Like we can actually, because it's going to be edited, if there's any problems with the demo, we'll edit it, but it'll still show all the proof of concept of how it works and things like that. And we'll edit it for brevity, so you don't have to wait for some of the waiting parts of it. So it won't be, doing it live stream would be kind of, there's so much lag in between there. And a shout out to, I met someone who he showed up at DC 313. He's looking getting into the career, and me and him talked a little bit about it. And he said,
Shut up to DC 313.
yeah. His Twitter is, he tagged me on Twitter yesterday, and he showed up there. You'd met him before. He works in the nursing field.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. He was there.
Yep, he was there.
Nice.
Yeah, he said he was going to say hi to you. And me and him talked for a little while. Great guy, interested in getting in the field. And the same challenge when you first get in the field, you learn that a lot of things are a lie. And he's like, TV lied to me about my first career and my other career. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Because he's looking into the cybersecurity stuff. He goes, this takes a lot longer than expected. I'm like, it sure does. There is a lot of hours in there. Anyone will tell you. It's... if anyone makes it look easy, it's just from years of experience of doing it. Don't get discouraged. Keep plugging away at it, and you'll find it. And the other thing I mentioned to him is learning programming can be very helpful. Not if you necessarily become a good coder, but when you understand how the coders think, you understand where to look.
Right.
You understand the things that they're going to also skip over. You'll be able to recognize a framework and go, they used a framework. What are the defaults for this framework? What are the common flaws? And then you can start drilling down and instead of fuzzing broadly, you can start specifically focusing on a certain aspect where you know there's usually a default setting. There's usually an edge case where someone didn't delete the sample or sample.default file that got left in there and things like that. So. And of course, just knowing with the framework lets you know where the file layout is in case someone didn't secure a directory or left it open to the public, etc. So we talked a little bit about that, and getting started is hard. That it is. I even made the comment. My son, when he told me he wants to get started, and it's almost hard to tell him where to start. It's such a broad question to me. I kind of go,
Yep. The cybersecurity is an entire domain.
It's so big, and then
Super.
But my son seems to like taking over people's webcams, so he found his own start. So-
I mean, young Marcus, that's how I started out. So knowledge will only grow from there.
yeah.
Now look where I'm at.
Starting with a task, starting with a purpose, like I want to do this.
Yeah.
Is,
Just sometimes those little things that, pique your curiosity help you go in the right direction of where you want to go.
But, you look at that Dark Knight Diaries episode where they dove into hacking the PlayStation Network and Microsoft Network and things like that. Their goal was just to play video games. They really had no malicious intent at all, and which is surprising. They had so much high level access, but they just want to play video games. Like I want to play the early release. I want to be better at everyone else. And that's a simple goal. Like playing games. That's why we're gonna get off the air here.
And with that being said, I'm gonna push the button because I gotta go 30 more minutes, and I'm ready.
Yep.
I ain't gonna
He
lie.
has the game, Call of Duty. He's not gonna go to sleep for the next 48 hours.
Nope. So I will see you guys.
Thanks for joining us,
Later.
guys.
Thanks for joining us.
See you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Xavier, push the button.